was the name of that thing we went to Friday night? They mentioned your name that you were babysitting. Traffic Safety Task Force. That's right.
Ready?
Yeah, I think we're ready to roll.
Good morning. I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Lewis County Board of County Commissioners for Monday, March the 4th, 2019. We do have a quorum. Peter Lamont, would you lead us in the flag salute, please? We have no public comment today, so.
Okay. I make a motion to approve two consent items. That would be the approval of the minutes for the February 25th, 2019 meeting, and then the approval of warrants in 190161.
Second.
Good morning, Commissioner Suzette Smith, Chief Accountant, Auditor's Office, here to present to you resolution number 19-061. This is the weekly approval of warrants against the various county departments. Last week, we issued 219 regular warrants and direct disbursements, numbered 811142 through 811172, 811180 through 811338, and direct disbursements numbered 533, 534, 627, 629 through 635, 643 through 650, 657, 658 through 662, 677, 679 through 682, for a total of $486,123.71. We note the following warrants numbered 811122 through 811141 and 811173 through 811179 as a skip in sequence, as these warrants were issued on behalf of the special purpose districts. As a note on the direct disbursements, these are generally electronic federal transfer payments or wire payments that do not go through, do not have a printed warrant with them. However, they do go through the full audit process, with the exception of those that are directly dispersed by the Treasurer's Office that may be related to bonds. Any questions?
No.
Thank you, Suzette.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda, approval of minutes from the February 25th, 2019 business meeting, and also resolution 19-061, the approval of warrants. Any further discussion?
No.
Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passed.
I move that we approve the deliberation items, resolution 19-06 through 063.
Second.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Archie Smith with Lewis County Human Resources. I am here to present resolution number 19-062. This is to set the armed security officer wage. This is relatively standard protocol. What has occurred here is there's been a request to have armed security, primarily in the courthouse, but not just the courthouse at times. And so due to the fact that we do not have a armed security officer position, we have had to peg that salary to where we feel it is competitive and reasonable within accordance with Lewis County policy. That salary has been set at $25 per hour to a maximum expenditure out of the Superior Court budget of $40,000 per year, and that's what is being set today. Basically, Central Services Department, Sheriff, and the courts all worked on this process together to come up with the solution. Job description was drafted and appears to be fine, and they will put it in progress once you're done. Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you, Archie.
Morning, Commissioners. Wayne Whiten, your Risk and Safety Administrator. I'm bringing to you Resolution 19-063, and I have Eric Eisenberg from the Prosecutor's Office to answer any questions from the legal standpoint. This defense and indemnification is a result of a new lawsuit from a familiar person in our community that's challenging. We had 5 employees in our jail reviewing evidence in this case, and now Mr. Wing has brought a new suit against these 5 employees, their spouses, if they have a spouse, in the marital community. So we need to indemnify and defend them as they were working within the scope of their job. So do you have any questions?
Um, Wayne, one thing there, I guess, because I've been over here for 4 years now, beyond 4 years. And this is never, I don't recall anything quite like this, where the spouses are being potentially identified. So could you just expand a little on this, and probably Eric is right here to probably help us out here, because this is unusual, it appears.
It is unusual. It's not that unusual. I think it's probably more just luck of the draw that Lewis County hasn't seen this exact thing before. It's not unusual at all in tort litigation, which is what this is. It's a suit alleging that we committed a tort against Mr. Wing. It's not unusual at all in such
Could you
litigation.
explain what a tort is?
Sure. A tort is a
Thank you.
wrong that you do to someone that's not covered by contract or a business relationship or something like that. It's a sort of catch-all term that means you have wronged me and caused me damages. So here, Mr. Wing alleges that these county employees and Lewis County as an entity wronged him. It's very similar to the claim that we had wronged him previously that we won on. So it's another go-round of the same type of thing. But anyway, when you bring that type of lawsuit, it is very common actually to name both the people that you say did it and also their spouses, if any. And usually you don't know if they're married. And so you say, and spouse and marital community. And so you end up kind of throwing that net wide just in case you were to prevail and it was found that that person had damaged you in such a way that you wanted to collect money from them. You would want to be able to collect it from them and from their marriage in case their money is partially owned by their spouse. So you would put that language in your lawsuit to make sure you have the broadest set of potential remedies if you win. It's therefore not an uncommon practice. I think it is unusual when you in a suit against the government, because here it's really only alleged that the people who had any interaction with Mr. Wing at all did so as part of their job, right? And doing it because they thought that they were allowed to do it as part of their job. And when that fact is really not in dispute, it is usually the case that a smart lawyer will dispense with naming the person's spouse and et cetera, because they know that the money is going to come from the county coffers if they win and not from the individual people. So I'm not sure why they decided it was important to do it here when that's not where the potential damages would come from if they win, but that's what they decided to do. It's a proper thing for this body to indemnify the people and their spouse and marital community, because the only alleged actions that did any wrong are actions from employees in the course of their duty. And so they are the type of things that you usually do defend and indemnify. Plus, we hope to prevail.
So my question then is, Mr. Martin was the Public Works Director, and there was an accident where involved a guardrail. I'll just throw that out. So the victim or the person that's going to be filing this lawsuit, could they also identify Mr. Martin and his wife on that?
Yes, the way in which they might do that would be, this is purely hypothetical. Sorry, but they're asking the question. Yeah. So imagine a hypothetical world, which is not this one,
Yep.
where Mr. Martin
Hypothetical.
was on specific notice that a certain guardrail near somebody's house was unsafe, and that because he didn't like that person, he didn't fix it on purpose. And then that person came around and went over the embankment and they got hurt really bad. And so when the lawsuit comes in, they allege that Mr. Martin did what he did in bad faith, intentionally to hurt that person. And they were seeking punitive damages. If if that was the lawsuit, you would expect in that lawsuit, unlike the one we have here, that they would name the county manager and they would name his spouse and marital community, because if they were to win on that claim, it would often be the case that this body would not defend and indemnify him to the punitive damages claim, to the claim outside the scope of his good faith duties for the county. And so if they wanted to collect on that claim beyond what the county was covering, they would then be seeking it for Mr. Martin and his marital community, which is why they would name those. What is unusual about the case here is that, in my opinion, the allegations don't have that bad faith, intentional misconduct flair. I mean, they say they do, but they don't. And so that's why I think you're seeing it. This is written as if they were thinking that these people personally and outside the scope of their county duties were trying to get him. But in actual fact, the facts they describe don't really suggest that.
Okay, well, I just wanted some clarification so everyone out there could hear it.
Right.
So,
Because we
Thank
asked
you.
a lot of these questions when we met with you earlier, so.
And
this
just
is-
for the
Yeah.
record, we have no tort or lawsuit against Eric Martin and his marital community. at this time.
And he's a king among men. He's a great guy.
Thoroughly.
Oh, we heard it.
thoroughly. Okay,
Well,
thank you.
On behalf of a grateful county manager, we thank you for that. It's been moved and seconded to approve two deliberation items, Resolution 19-062 through 19-063. Any further discussion?
Nope.
Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passed. We will now call to order the hearing for Resolution 19-064. We will begin with a staff report, followed by a question and answer period. We will then close the question and answer period and open the hearing for formal testimony. Anyone wishing to testify, please sign the sign-in sheet at our lectern. You will have 3 minutes. We'll now move for the staff report.
Good morning, Commissioner. I am Eric Martin, County Manager, and with me here today is Becky Butler, our Budget Services Manager. Copies of this budget amendment are available at the front of the room. This hearing pertains to the recommendation to amend the 2018 budget, hopefully for the last time, as indicated in Resolution 19-064. Notice of this public hearing was published in the Chronicle on February 26, 2019. The notice was published as reflected an increase in expenditures of $10,146 and a decrease in fund balance of $10,146. There were no new changes added to this budget amendment since that publication. This amendment increases the coroner's budget by $9,471 for professional services related to decedent removals and increasing supplies by $675. These costs unknown before the last amendment in January and therefore required another budget amendment for 2018.
Commissioners, do you have any questions?
None.
Okay. We'll now open the question and answer period during which the public can ask questions. This is different than public testimony, which comes later. Now is the time that you are more than free to ask the staff any questions you might have. Okay. Oh, all right. Yep. Please come to the lectern. Tell us who you are.
Hi, my name is Lynette Hoffman. I'm with the town crier. On Monday, Commissioner Jackson, you were in Winlock talking about
Excuse me, Lynette. This has specifically to do with the
Yes,
hearing,
okay.
okay?
I thought it was.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. If there's no other public comment, we'll close the question and answer period. Staff, would you like your opening statements to be incorporated in the hearing?
Yes, please.
We will now open the hearing for public testimony. Please sign the sign-up sheet on the lectern. You'll also have 3 minutes to submit testimony. All right, we have no one for public testimony. We'll now close the hearing for public testimony.
I move that we approve Resolution 19-064 regarding the 2018 budget amendment for current expense and other funds.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve Resolution 19-064. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
It is passed. Thank you. We move into the good of the order. First of all, I'd like to share a couple things. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Becky. Last Thursday, I had the opportunity to attend a couple of events. One was the pipeline project at Centralia College. Bob Gunther and the college have done a marvelous job with putting together this program. And I'm not going to speak too much about that. I'm going to defer to Commissioner Stamper when it's his time to discuss this in more in detail. He, from an educational standpoint, I think he's better qualified to speak to this. The other thing is I got the opportunity to attend a navigator training with United Way. This training was about understanding more about mental health and how mental health, the effect it has as we're dealing with our poverty issues here in Lewis County, and the fact that people that are impoverished do not have the ability, they do not have the means for appropriate, um, they can't avail themselves of a lot of the services available for for mental health. And so this was a very good seminar, and helped me to understand a few things about certain illnesses, certain mental illnesses that I didn't formally know. And as most of you may know, we deal with this quite frequently within our court system. And so just having this knowledge was very good to help me to, kind of get a perspective of what some of the things are that we deal with from a mental health aspect. And so that was very, very informative, and I was really glad to be able to be a part of that. So that's
Who were
all I
the
have.
instructors? Do you remember?
It was the lady's name. She was a nurse from Centralia College, I believe, and there were several other people from the health department that were there. I can't remember the names right off, but we had a full house. We had quite a few people there. So
So Commissioner Stamper, you want to talk?
Yeah, I'll just add a few words. First off, it was Bob Gunther and Peter Lamont. I know were very, very involved with this. Um, and so it was, and it's all about workforce for Lewis County. There's a lot of jobs out there, and we know that as the years go by, there are going to be different kinds of jobs. We're going to be looking for a different workforce. And what that is, and I believe it was said even at that conference, where we don't exactly know what those jobs are going to entail yet. And I know that Peter probably can add some comments there, but it was a made up of uh, professionals. Dr. Moorbacher there with the new training center that's going to be, the grant was submitted, and obviously they're going to
Full
Transalta grant
grant.
for 1.3 million, I
Yes,
believe.
yes.
So they're going to have a job training center, is what it amounts to. And again, Peter was there. Bob Gunther did a lot of ESD 113 was also, and Centralia College, along with educators, concerned citizens, the variety. And I would guess there were probably maybe 30, probably close to 30 people there at it was held at Centralia College. So it was very informative. And this is kind of because I think of what's happening in Lewis County, it was kind of a grassroots organization more than anything else to say, and Peter's very involved with the apprenticeship program to say, hey, the jobs are there. We need to train a workforce. And I've always felt, and again, this is probably from my perspective, coming from the world that I came from, being a high school principal and a teacher from rural Lewis County, um, the message is not getting out there that there's jobs available. Now, I will tell you, there's probably plenty of fault from different people, but at this point in time, I think we're here to try to fix it. And so I'm very, very encouraged, and along with this Transalta grant, to have this work. This training center available for kids that live in the rural part of the counties to be able to access this, and for Dr. Moorbacher and Centralia College to partner with this is, I mean, it's critical. So I'm very encouraged by this. I think it's a great opportunity, in my opinion, because of the world I came from. It's one of the best opportunities to reach some of those students and those young people and adults too, people that have graduated already from high school, to see where they need to go and what the opportunities are. Peter, you want to say? Well, you've been a very important part of this, so I think it's so I think appreciate this.
Peter Lamont, and I don't know who I am today, so. Yeah, I came and spoke here on Friday about apprenticeship opportunities in our area, educational opportunities for students outside of maybe college. And this, this initiative that we're working on, that Commissioner Jackson and Stamp are talking about, it's kind of one of our goals. It's to bring education to other areas. Part of it is we're wanting to put together mobile educational laboratories, take them, if you wait till a student is 18 years old, it's too late. So we're hoping that we can reach down to younger students and get them involved in vocational training. We have manufacturing jobs. We have in the Port of Centralia, we've got that new logistics facility coming in with 350 jobs. And we want to make sure that we get people trained up to take on those positions. It's a great opportunity for our area. Just something we can do to raise the level of our wages in the area and raise opportunity for Lewis County people, Lewis County citizens. So I don't know if you want to prompt me on anything else, but that's.
I think when we talked about the 350 folks that you mentioned, we said we wanted those people to be here and get those jobs. We hear that there's folks coming from other areas to fill those 350 jobs. It'd be nice if we had trained people here who are currently residing here and be able to obtain those jobs. So I understand that the college and Matt Mattioschi from EDC have talked with some of the folks there, but what kind of things are they needed? What are the essential job functions so that they can be trained?
Yeah, I think I come from a background in apprenticeship since about 2002. And what we're hoping is that we can bridge the gap. Our students are being told they have to go to college. And they go to college, they rack up student loans, they get out of college, and then they still have to come to us for jobs, and we have to train them anyway to do the jobs that we need them to do. So we're hoping that we can short circuit that and get the training a little bit earlier. If you get apprenticeship, there's about 190 apprenticeships statewide. There's about 19,000 apprentices in Washington State right now. Most of those apprenticeships are paid for by the apprenticeship. They're not paid for. The student in an apprenticeship does not incur student loan. So when they come out, they have hopefully a well-paying career and they have no student loan and they just get on with their life. They don't come out with $100,000 in student loan debt and have to start at the beginning anyway. So we're hoping that we make that more available to our citizens here in Lewis County.
So Peter, what were the numbers that are currently working on the schools of Centralia and Chehalis as far as apprentice? Where I think you made a very, very good point.
Yeah, one of my beefs, and it's county, it's city, it's school districts. The state, when Governor Locke became governor, his first governor's executive order was apprenticeship utilization on state projects. Now, most state agencies that do, especially construction projects, they have apprenticeship utilization requirements. And so what we've been asking for years is the schools or the county or the city, if they do a project, just put apprenticeship utilization language in the contract. The state, especially WashDOT, they're my favorite agency. They figured it out and they do an excellent job. It's mandatory with them, but it's open. The engineer, the project engineer or something can have some say in it. Sometimes it doesn't make sense to have an apprentice in some particular part of that job, but overall. So in Centralia and Chehalis right now, they're building, each is building 3 schools. And I asked I asked one school board, I asked the principal and superintendent in Chehalis, how many apprentices that graduated from Chehalis or Centralia High School do you have working on those projects? Well, the answer from the school boards is zero because they didn't put any language in the contract to make that happen. But in Centralia, the career and technical education instructor bent the arm of the contractor, and they have 3 apprentices working on projects in Centralia. And you know, they could have just put a bullet point in there that we encourage apprenticeship utilization, and we hope that it would be an apprentice that graduated from a construction program at Centralia High School or Chehalis High School or anywhere else.
So along those lines, then we know that Toledo's going to be building a brand new school here real shortly, starting probably next year. So would that, if in a perfect world, it's not like you can. So would that information possibly be moved on to the superintendent of Toledo to say this is something that language you could put in there yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's, we always ask when they're passing new state laws or even county laws, what's the fiscal note that goes along with this? Well, usually apprenticeship, the larger contractors, they all have apprenticeship anyway. It's not a big thing to them.
Mm-hmm.
If they come into Toledo and say, hey, it depends on the scope of the work. There's federal regulations, how many apprentices you can have on a job. I couldn't come in here and build this and need a crew of 8 people and 6 of them are going to be apprentices. There's a requirement, there's a ratio, how many apprentices you can have to journey level. But it would be perfectly reasonable for them to say that we would like 1 or 2 people to get into an apprenticeship, a state registered apprenticeship, to work on this project. And you know, it doesn't matter if it's the electrical, the carpenters, the laborers, the iron workers, the sheet metal, the whatever. Just make sure that they're involved, and you can get a former student of that school, get them involved in a craft, and give them a pathway to a, you know, to a lifelong career opportunity if they want it. It's just, you know.
Well, I think I mean, we've kind of deviated a little bit here, but I think that it was all 3 commissioners were present along with other individuals there that in the business world, and Pack Mountain was very involved with it also. So we're very encouraged, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And we know that this building, this training center is going to come to fruition. So we need to start doing some groundwork.
Yes.
There's even ways, I mean, just in your normal day-to-day work here, whether it's administrative personnel, with 190 different apprenticeships, labor and industries put in administrative apprenticeships for some of the people so they can train them for positions at L&I. Some of those things would transfer over to training new employees in the county, you know, in the city. And you know, there's a lot of opportunity out there. It's just how we work it to make it work for us. So.
And Peter, would you say how you have 3 students at Centralia High School working? How did that come about?
I mean,
The 3 students you have working now at Centralia schools, I think, wasn't it
yeah,
one of the instructors?
yeah, three students through the carpentry program at Centralia High School. 3 students are working, and they either are in or getting into the carpenter's apprenticeship program to work on those projects. Right now in the Northwest, especially the Seattle area, we have the hottest job market in construction in the country, and we have for about 5 or 6 years. Apprenticeship, you know, we're in Lewis County. It's kind of like Seattle, Tacoma, Spokane. It's like you drop a rock in a pond, and the ripples as they go out, they get smaller as they get further away. Well, we're further away, so sometimes the ripples are a little bit small down here. But if we start and we encourage that, we did a presentation at Centralia High School 2 weeks ago on apprenticeship, and there were 2 men there from Centralia City Light, and they were both in the IBEW apprenticeship program. One was in the power generation plant, and the other one was a lineman for City Light in Centralia. So, you know, those opportunities are available. It gives you a certain training, a certain amount of hours that you have to put in, and it gives you a well-rounded employee when they get to the end.
I'd like to add 2 more things. Also in attendance were the Centralia and Chehalis Foundation,
Yes.
both of those movers and shakers that serve on that. And I also want to give kudos once again to Bob Gunther and Matt Matioshi. And we sit on the coal transition grant group. And so we see a lot of applications. But when we saw this application, what it could do for all of Lewis County, it was readily approved. So I appreciate Transalta having those dollars available to help our local community as they transition.
I'll say one more thing. There's a difference between training and apprenticeship. The colleges, the high schools, they do a wonderful job at training. But when they get to the end, you still have to go out into the real world and find your job and find your way. With an apprenticeship, if you don't have a job, there is no apprentice. So when an apprentice gets into an apprenticeship program, they're usually assigned to a job, and they work for that, and they go to school, and they work for that, and they go to school. So coming from the apprenticeship side of the world, I'm a little leery of colleges getting money and schools getting money because they don't really put people to work. You know, I'm a little bit more interested in getting the money going to the apprenticeship side of the equation. But anyway, we want to be helpful any way that we can, and we'll do the best we can to make it work.
Thanks for your advocacy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Mr. Bell.
Good morning, Commissioner. Sean Bell, RAS Americas. Sorry I was late. Missed the first part of the meeting. To kind of dovetail on the previous speaker's comments, I certainly would like to see with energy and renewable energy as a whole be integrated into some type of apprenticeship program, because there certainly will be jobs, you know, not just in the region, but to have Lewis County be, you know, an education center and apprenticeship center for energy on the West Coast, I think would be fantastic. So I've talked to Bob Gunther a little bit about that, and we're trying to make some headway with the college and see if we can get, you know, kind of integrate some of energy into the programs, and then since we'll hopefully have a renewable energy project here in your back door or your backyard, I think that would be really, really beneficial. So I look forward to trying to make things work, you know, here in the next 6-8 months to see if we can implement some of these programs. So that's just on that piece. On the development side, on the project side, I wanted to give you a quick update. The second publication of the FEIS came out last Thursday. So now we're officially in the appeal period. It's a 21-day appeal period, and our intention is to get building permits filed and other ancillary permits filed, and then in conjunction or in tandem with that, to work with the fire districts and the county to make sure that all of our EMS plans are satisfactory, so that those building permits can then be issued when that's completed. So we're working down that path, and we were trying to get a site visit on Thursday, but it doesn't sound like the chiefs are available, so we'll get a site visit set up as soon as possible. In the meantime, we're working on our plan. So that's what I've got for you today. We're still intending on breaking ground on April 1st, or at least mobilizing on April 1st.
Moving forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shad.
Betcha.
Thank you.
Colonel.
Hi, Colonel Ron Averill, Centralia area. I thought we were going to have a really short, maybe record meeting when I saw the business agenda, until Gary, you decided to ask a question on torts and suing spouses.
That's fine.
Yes, I
That's
did.
fine.
Sorry about that,
We're a
Ron.
long way from
Breaking your record.
meeting Richard Graham's 3-minute meeting that he had some time ago. What I want to talk to you about this morning is that the Lewis County Seniors Finance Committee has just recently reviewed the finances for 2018, and we did very well. As you remember, we had a budget for a little bit over $525,000, and our expenditures that we had the receipts approximately in that area of 525,000, but our expenditures were only 503,000 plus. So we did very well. Last year, we were coming and seeing you quarterly on the operations at the senior centers, and we should do this again. I talked to Commissioner Fund about setting that up so that we could
Mhm.
come and review not only last year's operations, but the first quarter of this year and where we're going. We did take on 2 new members on the board for the senior centers, and they are Chris Ross, the superintendent at Toledo, and Olga Miller, who is now retired but worked previously for the legislators in LA. So both of them will be really fine additions to our board. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to add something regarding good of the order. On Friday night, I attended the Traffic Safety Task Force, and there's law enforcement and fire folks there, and my hat off to Sherry Gunther, Michelle Pardue, and anybody else who helped put that on. It was a great, great event where they honored people and the work they'd done in Lewis County. I was struck that 30 hours later that we had a deadly force incident, Randall Glenoma area. And these folks put their bodies on the line when they're out there. And thank goodness we had 2 folks in a car, and there was someone who was shot. And as with always happens when something like this goes, that they're put on administrative leave and an independent group will be investigating that. But I was just, here we're giving out awards the night before, and then the next night they're having to put their life on the line with their duties, especially in rural Lewis County. So.
Okay, thank you.
Any other?
Press conference. Do we have anything from the press today? Annette?
Hello, my name is Lynette Hoffman. I'm from the Town Crier, and on Monday, Commissioner Jackson, you were in Winlock talking about transit. And one of the things you brought up is maybe possibly not putting it on the ballot. What did you mean by that, out of curiosity?
At this moment, I can't really answer that because we were just simply talking about the idea itself, that I still think it's a very good idea. We've had some occasion to talk to some people on the state level that have given us some indication that it's still very possible for us to be able to do this, whether it be a ballot measure or some other way. And so basically, it was just part of an overall conversation. Is the reason I brought that up. Is anyone else? All right, thank you.
I was going to mention this Thursday, the Office of the Shayless Basin is meeting at 9 o'clock in the Centralia Train Depot. So if anybody's interested in what the Office of the Shayless Basin does, it's going to be going from 9 to 2. So it's an open public meeting, so please come if you're interested. Anyone else? Yes. Well, seeing no further business, I move that we adjourn.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.